being on that, and of course, sorry, and of course, how is it to get the focus to make decisions? Hi.
Hi,
Good day,
Irene.
everyone. Yes, I just turned today my camera, so I'm not used to look on the other side. So I hope that my our friends and colleagues, they can see me from the right angle. I just turned the camera, so I hope if somebody's seeing me differently, please let me know so that I can turn again the camera. But everything else is fine. How are you?
Very good, thank you. You look good, but if you
Thank you.
move
I
a
know.
little toward your left,
That was good. I think I have to come to the
yeah,
left.
right, like that.
This better.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
But
that's better.
my eyes are looking at the camera or to the left.
Yes, now you're okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I just was about to tell our friends and audience what we are going to talk about today. Our session number 4, actually, the last Sunday of November, as we got started the last Sunday of August. And we're going to talk about the process of decision making. So what happens when a human being starts to make a decision, or what is the challenge connected to making choices and coming to a final result and making the choice. And of course, how can we enhance the quality of the decisions by trying to put our focus on one specific area and not being distracted. So if I was right, then you can confirm, and otherwise you can add on something.
Yeah, I think this one probably is the most important Facebook Live we've ever done because decision making is the real key to success, both in life and business, in personal and professional life. Decision making is really important to change the course of our life. And as a matter of fact, I had a speech just a few weeks ago, and the topic was the power of one decision. And when you
Wonderful.
talk
Then we
about,
are on the right track.
yeah,
That doesn't work because now you're probably better off than me. But let's let's kick it off.
well, this is part of my coaching program also. One of the principles of success that I teach is decision making. Generally, we decide based on two things, like two types of decision making we have in general. One of them is analytical and logic, which is based on our cortex. And one of them is based on gut feeling, or the limbic
if
system.
if I'm allowed to maybe add just something right now, because I wanted to put this comment just to have the steps of the decision making before we come to the different types of the decision making. Because as you just mentioned very correctly, yes, the two different paths or two different ways, but probably we can just put one or two steps prior to that stage. So before it comes to the stage that we rely on our gut or we rely on our brain, the gut brain, and what's the other one, the logical brain, right? Before we come to that point, how is it when I have, let's say, different choices in front of me? What is the stage that we are still having doubts? What is the stage that we are still lacking information? What is the stage that we lack confidence to take the leap, regardless of which type are we going to make our choice or our decision? I think for every one of us, it would be also very helpful to bring it first through the steps and then see when we are coming to the steps that then we have to leap. Uh, are we rather relying on here or both? Because probably that's also a kind of process that is connected with each other. When we have different choices, is it like we come to the analyzing of the different pathways that we have in front of us, or is it like something also pre-programmed? Because these issues we had also in our last sessions, which is very essential for every topic. Are they also pre-programmed or already wired in our brain which types of decision makers we are? Or are we going through these processes of considering the choices, looking at them, analyzing them, collecting information, passing through the state of dots, and then relying on one or the other type of decision making, whether based on guts or based on logical brain? Can you, because that's really your field, is it something which we are having it, carrying it as our heritage? Is it in our program? What kind of people are we? Or can we learn it, or let's say train our brain muscles to integrate to one and the other? Or maybe that's one thing. Or is it also depending on different types of decisions making? If it's like the emotional one, logical ones, that we rely on the gut, or the logical. So now I put a lot of questions or a lot of information, but you don't have to give a lot of explanations because we have also other stuff to talk about. But I know how you just put stuff together in an efficient and super valuable, useful way. So I would love to know this actually from you. Is it in us already based on programming, or can we still have the power to change something?
Yeah, the decision making is actually, as you mentioned, is based on our programming. So whatever we have been programmed from childhood and makes the emotions and the feelings, we decide based on that. Over 95%, and some studies they say over 99% of our decision makings are based on emotions.
Wow.
We think logically.
So we just come not before we come here, everything is
Yeah.
done.
We,
Wow.
we think logically, but we act emotionally. And when we make a decision, we make the decision based on those emotions. And those emotions actually are coming from the pre-program, the pre-programmed mind that we have from childhood. Yes, we can change it. We can change it at any time. But the best decision making is actually first consciously, then subconsciously. And consciously is when you want to decide about something, just get the numbers, get the evidence,
Facts.
get the whatever is necessary for you to make that decision. And write it down. It's very important to write it down. And most of us, unfortunately, when we want to make a decision, we don't write anything. We just think about it, and then we cannot make a decision. Then we say we postpone it. We postpone it for next time, and we say, "Oh, let's talk to my wife. Let's talk to my husband. Let me talk to my friend or such and such." Either you make a decision, or somebody
You
else
have
make a decision.
excuses. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. And I think that process, when we come to postponed, or let's say I need to talk to my cat or my neighbor or my dog, then these are the processes. Yeah, sometimes I ask also my cat when I want to go to vacation or something, but it should be also funny a little. But is it the time that we have, as you mentioned, lack of those information and evidences, then we try to rely on some other people or other factors or other circumstances? Does it have to do with the lack of information? Because you mentioned it's best when we note or write down whatever, collect the data, and then process, and then out. I think it would be something like a combination of this. But when we postponed, or when we start making excuses, is it because we don't have enough of those information, and then excuses pop up?
Part of that, yes. Sometimes we get a suggestion, we get a recommendation, or someone asks us to make a decision, and we don't have enough evidence, we don't have enough things to really think about it. But the majority of times actually is because we're not master in decision making, and unfortunately, that is not a part of the education curriculum in school. That it must be actually. It must be part of education in any school. Decision making is the most important thing in our life because decision making is a choice, and we always make those kind of decisions, little decisions every day, and make those choices. However, for big decisions, we always procrastinate. And as Napoleon Hill mentioned in his book, Think and Grow Rich, uh,
One
he
of
has
my
a
favorite books, right?
he has a
Never.
chapter on decision making, and he mentioned actually he analyzed over 25,000 ordinary people compared with 500 most successful people in United States. It was interesting that he did this research for 25 years. And what he found out, the top of the 30 causes, the list of 30 causes of failure was lack of decision.
Lack of decision making.
Exactly.
It means
So,
why? Because I have the feeling myself, it depends also on the intensity or the quality of the decision. Because in the schools, yes, you're right, that's never a part of the education system. We learn how to make decisions, maybe for multiple choices or tests or examinations, because we have already those informations in our backup. We have been learning already the mathematics, the whatsoever stuff that giving us that information based on which we make the choice between the 4 or the 6. But for the other stuff in life, we are just lacking those data and education and information. So do you think this statistics that you also mentioned, that the other people are lacking the decision making, is it because of the lack of training only from the past? Because I think we also have a part of this in our own hands. I mean, all of
mhm.
us, we are not coming from a perfect educational system, not everybody, and most of the world actually, but still there are brilliant and powerful decision makers in the world who do not also have super privileged background, but they are making powerful, efficient decisions and choices. So that's why I believe that it's also a part of our own challenges or trainings, that we also train our confidence. Because I had, for example, in my very early years, I was never focused. I was
Mhm.
very sharp, but I was always focused on a few things at the same time. So it means actually I was not focused because my focus was distracted or split it on many things at the same time. And I was trying to manage all of those still
Mhm.
until a few years ago. So this is, I'm admitting it very openly, because I had a very high capacity and potential to move things or to push things forward. And I wanted to do everything at the same time. Because I had always this urge or this drive for life and for achieving stuff. But recently, or I mean, not very recent, I mean, a few years ago, I realized that when we lack we have lack of efficient decision making, one part of it, it is
Mhm.
because of our not confidence as a person, but confident of having enough evidence, as you said, on one topic. And I realized also one sort of decision making is much easier, which is a kind of collective decision making, when probably a group of people have already made that decision or they have gone
Yeah.
that way. Like, for example, following a religious group or a political group, etc. We think, there must have been something right that 20 million of people are voting for this person or are going to the church or to the mosque. And then everybody else try to be a part of this. Um, so with this, I want to actually shift our discussion to another way of decision making prior to the gut and the brain, which is the individual way of decision making and collective way of decision making. What do you think about this one? I think from my point of view, and I don't know what our friends and audience would think, is the individual one the more challenging one because it needs more work and it needs more confidence.
Yeah.
The other one is the more comfortable one. What is your point of view, or what is the difference for you?
I always believe in individual decision making.
Amazing.
I never believe in mass decision making, because every person must decide for himself or herself. And you mentioned about the focus. That is the key actually to decision making, to focus on something. That's why I said when you write it down, you can focus. You can get all the evidence you want.
And maybe we can narrow it down.
Yeah, narrow it down, exactly. Because focusing is just making a laser out of light. Now you cannot make a laser at home, but at least you can get. Actually, I have one.
I have also. That's different.
So just you can experience it at home with this magnifier, and focus on something. Focus the light on something, the sunlight, and you can burn it. Yeah. It's the same light. It's the same light. But when you focus it and when you narrow it down in one point, in one direction, then you can burn wood or paper or something like that.
Just increase the power.
Exactly, exactly. And that's how we can make a decision, because when you focus on something, you can make that decision much better than like postpone it and say, oh, okay, I don't have enough evidence and such, and go ask your friends, your family members, your neighbors, and let them to make that decision. And the reason for that is in the brain.
Yeah, this is what I
want to. Yeah, as a brain doctor and in many years in neuroscience, despite my previous belief that I thought at that time that we are multitasking people, we are not. Despite all the complexity of brain is the most complex and the most powerful biocomputer in the world. However, despite all that complexity, brain can focus only on one thing at any given time.
So it is not a masculine or feminine thing, because I am in this thing. If it's a kind of mass belief, I'm very masculine. I can focus only. I mean, of course, I can put on my etc. while I'm driving. This I still can. But a lot of other things, like if I'm listening to some, or if I'm having a call, an important call, I'm getting contents and I have to react. So I cannot write down other stuff, or I cannot, let's say, focus on something else. I knew somebody at work before she could do that. She was doing her emails at the same time, and then also on the call with somebody else, delivering actually good content. So I was thinking, okay.
Yeah, but even that
our brains are different. Is it like individual, or we can have a recipe and say, okay, if she can make it, then I can make it as well? Or is
no. It's not multitasking. It's switching. Some people are able to switch between the tasks very quickly. Some people, they switch between the tasks slowly. But all neuroscience data from many studies in recent years, they are all shown these truths, that brain can focus on one thing at any given time, not more than one thing.
And otherwise, maybe the quality will decrease, right?
Exactly. Yeah. When you switch quickly between the tasks, we think we're multitasking, but actually no, we're just switching. We're just switching because our brain has that capability to switch quickly. And that's why we think we are multitasking. No, but as you mentioned, it brings down the quality of the outcome of whatever we're doing, the quality of the results that we're doing.
I want to link it actually now to also our business or our profession, because it has a lot. We have clients, we have students, we have peers and partners that they have always challenges while making decisions. Maybe we were all also in the same stage. Probably here we can also have that shift to the gut and a logical decision making. How do really people function, or how do we really as human beings function? Why some of us in certain circumstances can make the choice much faster regardless of the efficiency, and some do it much slower also regardless the efficiency. Maybe a decision making is with a lot of considering or thinking and analyzing, but still lower quality than the, let's say, count to 3 and say yes or no. What is that difference? What is the difference between the process? Because we have also definitely sometimes, I mean, amongst our potential clients, I feel that as well, that sometimes people are struggling or are stuck in sometimes also a small or a minor decision, just one step. Is it this fear of the unknown, because lack of information, because of confidence, which is also coming from lack of information?
Yes, it's because of the lack of practice. Because with practice, we can master decision making.
That's a good point. That's very good point. Yeah. So we have to exercise every day, make choices, right?
Exactly.
From small stuff, yeah. Tea or coffee, both.
Every other skill that we have learned have been based on practice, like walking, talking, speaking, I don't know, writing, learning math, whatever we have learned, it was based on practicing. Repetition, repetition, repetition. That's the first law of learning. And decision making is a skill.
Yes.
We can acquire it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very difficult at the beginning if you're not mastered. But as you mentioned, we have clients in business for coaching and speaking, or like in real estate, whatever. We have clients, and we always, like every single day, we deal with these kind of people that they cannot make a decision,
which is actually for their best. You know, sometimes which is actually towards their best or their better. Yes. Because but the scarcity and this as you said, lack of practice or the lack of skill, because as you just mentioned, also the way we walk or the way we just tie our shoelaces, these are the things that we will never forget, or the way to home or to our school. Exactly. Even if we go back there after 30, 40 years, we will still walk the same way. So these are things, are they the so-called muscle memories that they never go away?
Yeah, because it's practice, and based on those practices, you have been developed a habit. A habit is nothing more than a pattern in the brain cells.
Yeah,
it's a pattern, and then when we have that habit, we repeat it unconsciously, and that's why decision making is the same skill like other skills that we have learned. Let me tell you about two important decision making that.
May I? 1 second, I see a friend of ours asking, would you consider given time to make a decision? Well, I think it is very...
That's exactly in response to this question.
Okay, so, go ahead.
Napoleon Hill, when he met Andrew Carnegie, he was a young boy, freshman in college, in Napoleon Hill. And he was writing articles about successful people. And his first assignment was Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie was an ordinary person, just a laborer in steel mill. And then he was the first millionaire, and he was the richest man in the world. When Napoleon Hill went to Andrew Carnegie and asked him about his successes, he gave 3 hours to Napoleon Hills. And then when he saw some talents in Napoleon, he invited him to his home from Friday to Sunday evening, 3 days. 3 days and 3 nights, they talked. And this is what he said. He said, Napoleon, we have been talking for 3 days. I told you about the philosophy of success. Now, I want to ask you a question, yes or no. If you decide to write this philosophy, and it takes 20 years to write this philosophy because of the research that you must to do, and I introduce you to most successful people in the United States, and I write you a letter to those people to go there and talk to them and find out, based on whatever we discuss, based on my philosophy of success, find out and write this philosophy and take it to the world. So ordinary people, they know about the key to success. By the way, in these 20 years, I'm not going to pay you a dime. You're on your own. I only write you the introduction letter to those people. And so that was his question. And he said, answer me yes or no. There's no explanation, no procrastination, nothing.
Just make the choice.
And Napoleon Hill, on his talk, he said, when he was telling me this, I reached out to my pocket and I figured out that barely I have enough money to go back to Washington, I think. He was in Pittsburgh with Andrew Carnegie. And at that time, like the first thought was, no, why I should work for the richest man in the world for 20 years.
Without being paid.
Am I crazy
without
or what?
having enough backup in my pocket.
Exactly. But he said something like a gut feeling that we talk about. He said something in my mind said, no, don't open your mouth. And then right away, in that few seconds, he said, Mr. Carnegie, I accept your recommendation, your offer. I accept your offer. And it took Napoleon Hill, from the moment that Andrew Carnegie stopped his question and waiting for his answer, it took Napoleon Hill 29 seconds to accept that offer. And later on, Andrew Carnegie told him, you had 1 minute.
So he used half of it.
He said, if you wouldn't answer me, the offer was not anymore.
That's actually, I think, the power of deadline. Because once we have the power of focus and once we have the power of deadline, when we create or we have this sense of urgency created, when we know if we don't take action now or within a certain time period, then we don't have that opportunity, or we have another choice which may not be so much favorable to us. But I think the majority thinks that probably after that time, I may have better opportunities. You know, maybe that's how, when, as you said also, that the majority of people, they don't really utilize that those few golden seconds or minutes sometimes, okay, based on the really complexity of the decision, and they just postponed, and they think maybe tomorrow, I don't know, maybe tomorrow I see a nicer woman, or maybe tomorrow I see a better color, or maybe I see a cheaper pair of shoes, so I go, and then normally, I mean, just with a very, very minor way of decision making, like we ladies especially, when we go shopping, I mean, I'm not like that, but 90% are like that. When they see something at the beginning, they fall in love with it, like maybe it's a bag, they fall in love with it, but they go to search the whole street, and at the end of the day, they come back to the same. And normally that's the shopkeeper with that smile here. So thank you, nice to see you again. I knew you will come back. So they take their time, but then they come back with a sense of certainty. But they did not utilize the sense of urgency because there was no sense of urgency. So for me, always these two senses were like in a way, in a how to say, controversy with each other. Like one was going the other way, and one was going also its own way. The sense of urgency was calling, look, let's do it now. Maybe when you go back and come back, then you don't have this bag. Then the bag is not there anymore. Or maybe the shopkeeper changes his minds and then he put a different price on it. But still, as long as we see there is no sense of urgency, we still have the time, or maybe somebody is giving us that time. We just go back, make use of the time, actually waste the time, and come back and increase the risk. We come back to the same point, and we actually also, let's say, accept that, or we think, let's take it also into account that I come back and that bag is not existing there anymore, or maybe it's still there, and then I'm 100% sure when I'm taking it. So we go through this process that we somehow justify. The decision was emotional, but the justification comes afterwards by logical criteria.
The truth is, decision making is a fraction of a second. The decision making is in milliseconds. That lady that goes to buy shoes or bag or whatever.
The whole way.
Yes.
The whole street.
She made that decision to go to find out about other options, and then she came back and bought that bag or pair of shoes. That is another decision. That's why I say.
So actually, she made two decisions.
Exactly.
Well, one decision, she decided to leave this option for a later time, and second decision was, let me go and check out the others. Isn't it not, in a way, tiring and exhausting process? Because the brain gets tired making so many choices.
Yes. That's why it's very important to practice on that, to practice decision making.
And shorten the time.
I know for many people, because the studies have shown that over 95% of people, they cannot make a firm decision. And based on the study that Napoleon Hill did it, he studied 500 most successful people. They had one quality in common, and it was decision making. And what they did, those successful people, they had the habit of making decision quickly and firmly, and either they never change it, or if they saw the necessity of changing that decision, they did it very slowly. On the other hand, the 25,000 people who failed in their life and business and everything, based on that 25 years of study, that's how they made decision. They were very, very slow in decision making, and they were very fast in changing the decision.
So they are probably not also the most loyal people or the integral people, because you can either reflect that decision towards your peers or your counterparts by lack of loyalty when you change your mind again quickly, although it took you a lifetime to make that choice. And on the other hand, towards yourself, then you will develop lack of integrity, because then you are not even also loyal to yourself when you change your mind. So I think it's a it's a whole package, exhausting, not only for the brain, also physical.
Yes.
And it can sometimes cost a lot of money. These are also not only a
lot of money. It sometimes actually costs the relationship. It costs losing business. It costs losing a lot of money. I've done it myself. Yeah. I'm not an innocent. I am the same.
No, I think it has nothing to do with it being innocent. It is experimenting and collecting, evidences and feedbacks, because these are not also I mean, I cannot say, okay, of course mistakes, but these are not failures. We have done it all. I mean, all of us. But it just requires a certain level of courage to admit it and say, look, This is how I've been through it,
Mhm.
and now I've learned it, and now I have learned how to improve the quality of my decision makings, and this is how I'm going to teach to other people. So
Yeah,
I think
yeah, that's why it's very important
I
for
don't like
everyone.
to call yourself because of you're not innocent.
No, I mean the
These
reason
are
I said
little,
that, because when we are adult, we know that. We know that we are lacking of decision making. We know that we are lacking of that practice, of that skill. But why we don't go to some people and ask for help
yeah.
and say, okay, let me work with you and practice on
And
that.
yes, and do it
This
faster
is
and more efficient.
yeah,
But
it's the most important in life, in personal and professional life. But why we send our children to school to learn, but when we are in adult age, we don't go to
yeah, we quit
go back to school, and this is the school of
of
life.
life. Yeah.
This is something that different. This is not like college or university that give you a lot of knowledge, but they never teach us how to use that knowledge, how to make a decision, how to build that skill, how to build that habit. And that's what my message is, and our message is for those wonderful people. They are online right now, or they're gonna watch this video later. Please go seek help. This is a skill that everybody can learn. And
Because it's one fact that we have to also learn, or we have to be mature enough to accept that we cannot be good at everything. Because then again, we come back to the same point that we lose focus. Because if we try to do everything on ourselves, I mean, do our real estate business ourselves, do the leadership ourselves, do the house maintenance ourselves, raise children ourselves, I don't know, going to becoming best athlete ourselves, then we are not good at all of them. Because my wonderful mentor also always say, once you start trying to master everything, you end up mastering nothing. Or once you start trying to work with everyone, you end up working with no one. Just narrow it down, and then for the rest of the things, I mean, today, for example, I had a very nice discovery session with a wonderful genius man in digital marketing, social media. I told him, as we started the phone call, I told him, I'm a technology idiot, not because I don't have the brain cells for that or the intelligence for that. I never took the time to learn that, because I'm good at other things that the technology guys are not good at. Maybe if I invest a weekend in it, then I master it all. But I was not interested, and I didn't also at the time. So I reached out to you. Let me see, how can you help me? And he reacted very nicely with a smile. So he took it very gently and kindly, because I said that as the first sentence. I said, look, I accept that I have no idea about this, and I listen to what you tell me, because I was told and I see that you are the expert in this field. So sometimes I think more people should maybe learn to admit that, to say, look, I'm not good in building up a business. I'm not good to do property investment. I'm not good at writing a book, at making passive income, but I'm good at other things. Let me reach out to somebody else. And then filling that gap with him, I pay him, I invest in this, and then he teach me, or he do it for me. Finish. So either done for you or with you. So all actually.
As a matter of fact, let me show you. This is Respan from Bold. Bold is business objective and life by design. I'm in coaching program. Okay. Wow. Besides the coach I have in my office for my real estate, this is an extra coaching program, and I'm going to go for another higher level coaching program. I believe in that. If you see this, probably you can see this bold here. This is from 2015. That was the first time I took bold class, and since then I capped the commission. Before that, I didn't cap. Okay, and now I'm going for higher level, and I did it again. It doesn't mean
we are not good at, or we cannot get better at something.
But I want to learn more. I want to learn the skill from those people. They have done it before me. They have done much better than me.
And
So
those
why?
people are also learning still from other people. So it's a never-ending ascension model. I mean, my mentor has still sometimes during our call, he reached out to his own mentors. And
Yeah,
a
exactly.
guy who also reaches out to somebody else. So it's a never-ending story. We just have to accept that once we open up and reach out for help, first of all, we help our focus to stay on the significant, so we don't get distracted learning everything. We find out and we identify what is that, what we can be awesome at that, and reach out to someone to train us in that area, and then really become awesome at that, because that's probably our calling or our true mission and potential. And the rest, we can also still ask other people to do it for us. So this way we can keep the focus. And I think on the way to make the decision for, first, I just wanted to say hi. There's a wonderful lady, Kurdish girl. Her name is Kani. She joined us. I got to know her recently, and I'm very happy that she's with us here. So maybe later on we can also get in touch with her offline. So why are the decision makings, now going back to the first point that you kindly wanted to also deep dive, because we are about to run out of time, the two different decision makings, because we now came to a conclusion that mass decision makings, or following mass, or because somebody has already made a decision in a certain group, millions of people are following at the same day to the church or to the mosque, or they're going to elect a certain person. Are we making it the simple way to go and follow them and say, okay, because the collective decision is there, probably there's something right? We came to the conclusion, stay unique, stay individual, and focus on your own talents and abilities and the power of your own logic and also emotions. So just to recap what we came out of, what we had as a takeaway from the different kind of decision makings as individual or as collective. And now going back to the very first one, which was based on gut feeling and logical.
Yes.
You just mentioned at the very beginning, so I had to jump in because I wanted to bring it from the beginning so that we just really go a bit deeper into it. How do we really classify that one? Because a lot of people say one is feminine way of decision making, rather based on gut feeling, emotionals, and one is rather the logical and the masculine. For me myself, based on what I have studied or learned or experienced, is it has nothing to do with feminine and femininity and masculinity, because we both have both the gut brain and the logical brain, but it is on us to see how we connect those, or which one get the preference to make the decision. And I believe that it's also a matter of practice and exercising and working on those skills to learn to give which one of them the, let's say, priority to move forward. But you know this one better. Is it also how our brain function and order us to, because everything is already decided or maybe ordered, processed here? So is it something that also a process in our brain here, and this brain is it also connected to the gut here?
Yes.
Or are they communicating with each other?
So then we have two parts of brain in decision making. One of them is the cortex, especially the prefrontal cortex, and this is analytical part of our brain.
The logical part, yeah.
The logical part. And then we have limbic system, which is subcortical. It's deep under the cortex.
I heard it's here. It's
The
correct.
brainstem.
Somebody showed me, said it's like this. As we were once in Sweden, there was
Yes, limbic system is something like this.
exactly.
Okay.
She said it's like
It's on both sides. And the
so my
center
hair
of
is
emotion, yeah, the center of emotion, amygdala, is in that system. And the memory is in that system. Memory of smell and the memory for all five senses. And it's very interesting how we can make a decision based on the pattern that we have for those senses that we are programmed.
Uh-huh.
And That's why it's
Call it the anchors, maybe those things that remind us of something, a smell of something or a music.
yeah, yes.
Uh-huh. So these are anchors also.
Yes, actually, the smell or odor have been used in many places, in some speeches even, to affect people decision making.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I
it's
think in
based,
old days, in ancient times, they were also doing this.
yes, even Hitler did it.
Certain
Yeah,
things.
Hitler used it, and it's very interesting that we make a decision based on whatever we are programmed, and we are programmed based on the data we have collected from childhood, from those five senses, and the belief that we have. That's how we make a decision based on whatever we are programmed, based on our beliefs. And that's why it's very important to, at this age, at this point of our life, to get out of that pattern, to get out of that comfort zone and say, okay, I want to practice on that. This is something that I should have learned in school, but I have not. And
Are
everybody,
they also probably some of those already anchored data or information that we have already in our container? Could it be that some of them are also actually good and we don't have to really challenge them? How do we realize that? How do we know, okay, this one I have to work on and this one is fine, I just have to keep it and maybe enhance it a little bit?
yes, based on the results we get. So the
And
results.
who is the one evaluating? I mean, because we can justify our results always.
Good thing you
You know,
mentioned. Good thing you
I've been
mentioned.
in
Actually,
this for a while, and it was telling me so much. I mean, we can justify it anytime. I can make a shitty decision, sorry, but the day after, I say, you know what? This reason, you see, this is why I made this decision. Although my gut
yeah.
feeling is telling me that was the most idiotic decision.
The reality is we make decision all the time based on our feeling, our emotions, even the logical one. At the end is based on our emotion. However, the limbic system doesn't have anything to do with the language.
Okay.
But when we make that decision, then we rationalize it because we want to explain it. We want to talk to people. We want to talk to ourselves. Then we rationalize our decision based on the logic. So we come up with some explanations. Some of them are true, some of them are not. But we want to rationalize that decision. That's how it happens. And it's very important. You mentioned about knowing ourselves. There was a study just recently, in recent years, is done on people, and I think it was 10,000 people in that study, to see how how people they think about themselves, how they see themselves. So part of that was decision making, and the study showed that 95% of people in that study, they thought they knew themselves very good. And then the study showed that the actual percentage is 10 to 15% of people they really know themselves.
Wow. And the rest were
And
the percentages of ego.
we just assume
I know.
we know
Ego.
ourselves very good and we were good in decision making. But it was not confirmed by other people in our life, in our business, in around, like in company around us.
Or by fact.
And based on the results we had in those pillars of life. So it's interesting that the study showed in a very good moment we have, 80% of the time, and 80% of us lie to ourselves.
Wow.
Yeah.
Based
So
on
it
false actually beliefs that we have
exactly.
already. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why it's very important to make a decision by yourself, for yourself, and
So not
based
just
on
relying on, let's say, what the society is saying or what that certain percentage of right or wrong is saying, because right or wrong is also perception, right? I mean, it's also a matter of taste. To me, it could be that at this very moment, this color is the right choice, and for you, maybe this color. I have a very nice pink, just maybe because it was the reflection of what you just mentioned at the end, and by coincidence, I just found the right page or the right passages that here I just marked. So if it's okay, I would just read it because there are three sentences.
Sure.
So it is like people continuously want to be in a crowd in which they fit. The moment you behave differently, the whole crowd becomes suspicious. Something is going wrong. They know you and they can see the change. They have known you when you never accepted yourself before. And now they suddenly see that you accept yourself. They get scared. In this society, nobody accepts himself. Everybody is condemning himself. This is the lifestyle of the society. Condemn yourself. And if you're not condemning yourself, if you're accepting yourself, you have fallen away from the society. So you lose security and safety. And society does not tolerate anybody who falls out the fold because, because the society lives by numbers. It is a politics of numbers. When there are many numbers, people feel good. That was the collective and the mass way of decision making. Vast number makes people feel that they must be right. Perception, manipulation. They cannot be wrong. Millions of people are with them. And when they're left alone, great dots start arising. Nobody is with me. What is the guarantee that I'm right? That's why I said in this world, to be an individual is the greatest courage. This is one of my favorite places I have to. And it's very much, I think, in alignment with our discussion. I respect this man very much. And by the way, this is called Courage. I think it's my nickname. And it's a lovely book that I can recommend it to everybody out there. It is, for me, the different version of the book Prophet of Khalil Gibran, but in a different format and with more focus on courage and the courage to love and the courage to be yourself. Because as long as we are not ourselves, we are like everybody else, then it is comfortable. As long as we stand out, it gets uncomfortable and it's challenging. And that's why many people want to be like everybody else. And there you lose your focus because they are distracted by everything else around you.
Yeah, the problem is many people, they don't feel confident if they don't follow the mass.
Yeah.
When the mass make a decision and they are against that decision, even their belief
convinced,
different.
yeah.
But because it's out of the comfort zone, and because since childhood we have learned the conformity, because we always seek conformity. Like in some of my speaking events or coaching events, we talk about something, and not only my event, like different events that I've been through. People, they hear about a program about something, and then their belief is they should go with that. Okay, and then they ask the neighbors.
Oh yeah, exactly. What do you think? Are you joining the program?
Of this? Yeah. I'm like, why you're not asking the master who's teaching you? Why you're asking someone doesn't have the information just like you?
Yeah.
So that's why, because
for yourself.
We have been programmed with this seeking conformity, and we have been programmed with the doubt and no and lack of skill that we make a decision, and that's why we procrastinate. And decision based on Napoleon Hill's research, decision is the opposite side, is the mastery of procrastination. When you make a decision, you don't procrastinate.
So you're done, then you can move on to a next
step. You make a decision, you say, I'm going to do it, and start now.
Yeah. Because deciding, it means I move forward. When you don't decide, means you're stuck, and then you're still in the same place. Kayan, you must catch up with our session number 3. or two. Which one was about rebels and authentic leadership? There you will hear almost 1 hour about put hair downs and be different and be yourself and be rebel. So yeah, just that one would be your favorite maybe. I think you're probably ahead of, yeah, I mean, time is more than up. So one thing that I would like also to maybe recap here, to not being conform with mass, not also thinking feminine decides this way, masculine decides this way. We can both, as women and men, we have both parts actually in us.
That's true.
Then it is on us how to acquire enough information or trainings or skills to make a kind of a balance in between the gut brain and the logical brain, so that we don't always justify ourselves afterwards by this and then you know, so to feel comfortable or to feel light whenever you're making the decision, because as you mentioned, as soon as the dots rises, then people start double checking with others. And that's, I think, the beginning of the end. And at the end of the day, you will sit there, hold your knee, cry, and say, I think my first version of decision, the one in the first 5 seconds, that was the right one. I shouldn't have asked this and that. Then you start putting the blame on the others. Say, oh, but you told me doing this and that. Always say, ask others, make also double checks, but no problem. Maybe in some special aspect, other people know more than us in a specific topic, but do not rely on that like for 100%. Do your own diligence, because at the end of the day, it's on us. If somebody recommends something, it's fine and good, but we cannot then put all the responsibility on the other person without having our own due diligence. So that was my last word. I think I'm done.
Jala is asking a question, and I saw some people mentioned they are here. Thank you so much, everyone. Yes, we see you. However, we don't talk to like every individual on the video because
I have one other problem, because I'm looking the other direction and I don't see the comments.
Oh,
because it looks good when I look in the cameras. I really have to go back and look in the comments and then go back into the camera. So, but
yeah,
I'll check from
that. Jala is asking, how do risk takers' brain work? The risk takers' brain works just like everybody else. However, risk takers are courageous enough to take the risk. And by the way, life is a risk by itself.
Everything, every day we wake up.
There's no 100% guarantee in anything. You may make a decision today, and tomorrow or next month or next year find out that was a wrong decision. Just take it. Take the responsibility. Don't blame anyone for your results. Whatever results happen, take the responsibility. You made that. You can change it.
If I'm allowed to put one sentence to yours that you said, even if it was wrong decision, I don't believe in wrong decision. I believe we have to really put ourselves back in that very circumstance, in that very age, in that very state of knowledge and experience, and then think, going back to that age, to that stage, to that place, would I now decide exactly like that or differently? If I think, okay, at the age of 26 in country X and with education Y and in circumstance C, I would have maybe decided exactly the same. So therefore, I am, I don't like, I try really always to tell people, don't call your decisions or don't put the blame on yourself or on anybody else, or don't call your decisions wrong. Say they were suiting that certain age, that certain level of knowledge, and that certain circumstances. Because now we're sitting somewhere else, everybody's wiser afterwards, and then we can say, oh, I made a mistake. I don't believe in mistakes. I still am a fan of standing out for what we have done and standing up for it and saying, I made that decision, it was not wrong, but the consequences are not really wonderful. And as you said, I would say, however, I take 100% responsibility for that.
Yeah, yes, that's true. Sometimes we make a decision that it looks like it's forced upon us based on the decision, but the reality is our choice.
Exactly.
So I think we could make another choice to make a different decision and bring different results.
I think every day when we wake up, we have choices to make. That's it.
Yes.
From the time that we get up, from the coffee that we drink, from the dress that we wear, from the perfume that we wear, it's all a matter of choices. So when we make a different choice, then I wouldn't say it was a wrong choice. I would say that was the other state of mind at that very moment. If it's okay for you, we could close at this very stage and then get back to the questions after the sessions in the comments.
Yeah, just let me mention that I have the chapter on decision, the topic decision from Think and Grow Rich. Those audience that they are online right now or they watch this video later, it's a PDF file, is 9 pages on decision making. Just you can reach me on Messenger, just message me on Facebook with your email, or email me at dilan@dilandolati.com.
Or we can do like the previous time. We can do as previous times. We just can share the links to the contact comments.
Well, I don't. It's not online to.
Oh, I know your contact links, contact details.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we can share them so everybody has.
Yeah, you can email me or message me on Facebook, and I'll be happy to send you this PDF file in 9 pages. And it's very helpful actually to practice that skill. Ilham mentioned that is art. Yes, is science and art is based on practice, so it's a skill.
Skill is art, yes.
And it's art also. That's true. So at the end, I want to thank you, all of you, that you have been online with us, and those people who will watch this video later. And please practice on decision making, because this is the real key to success. All, like everything else, based on the decision make. Every other principle of success is based on the decision you make. So if you have any questions, and I'm pretty sure you will have questions.
We all have.
Us, both of us, and we will be glad to help you.
That would be great. I mean, I'm very glad to help people making decision or taking action, because I'm the courageous leaper herself. So of course I don't encourage people to make I don't know, let's say unlogical choices or anything. Of course, first the due diligence, then process, and then the alignment with the gut and logical aspects. And of course, when we are there, which can happen, you said, within seconds. Maybe when we are just mentioning, it's a long process, but the whole thing can happen within 5 to 20 seconds. I mean, your nice story of Napoleon and his counterpart, so that it took actually at the end of the day less than half a minute to make such a decision for 20 years of his commitment. So I mean, we are probably sometimes offering you service for a few months or for a few seconds. So this, I don't understand why people are thinking so much. So I encourage everybody, as the year is also coming to an end, it is not over yet, it is not late yet. Anytime that we take action, anytime that we make one move forward, it is the time, and there is no reason to regret for anything later on. So we are here for you. We know some stuff pretty well, you know some stuff pretty well, so let us come to the state of maturity to reach out to each other, to train or to learn whatever we feel that we have a gap in, or certain learning or skill setting process and program.
Actually, you mentioned something very important, and I want you to make the decision right now for next program. Do you agree we talk about New Year resolution?
No.
It's end of the year. It's going to be end of the year.
Because everybody, I mean, I don't like to do people that things that everybody else is doing. If everybody, I mean, the mess is doing something, I would like to do it different. I will disclose you later how we.
I've been helping them for goal setting and goal achieving.
I would rather, I mean, of course, we discuss it offline. It is wonderful, but there is a lot of noise around that pick, I think, and let us maybe allocate and because we have other things all in mind. Definitely, of course, we can link it because time of course, would right that the shift is in the right time. Maybe rather we allocate it in a direction that we wrap up the achievements that we have, rather not focusing on what we don't have yet, and see what we have done and what we are going to do with that.
Yeah, I think actually at the end of every year, we must review our life in past year and learn the lessons from the from undesirable results, whatever you call it, lessons, failures, whatever.
Feedbacks. I learned really there is no failures. Actually, there are only feedbacks. Because whatever maybe I consider as failure now, 6 months ago, maybe I thought it's a heroic decision actually.
Yeah.
And maybe now the outcome is not satisfactory, and I say, oops, that was a mistake, that was a failure. So rather look at it as a decision
Feedback
that we made, the feedback that we are receiving, which is not very nice sometimes. But I like that what you mentioned, just stand for what you need and what you are doing and take the responsibility, because then we are whole. I think we are not in doubt or uncertainty is good, but doubt is not good. So yes, if you want to reach out to us, we are here. I mean, both in sky blue, open for help. Just do not hesitate. I mean, as I said, also the year is not over, so make us out of it. It's still, there's still enough time to do good and do different and add value and help yourself and also others around you. So as you know, the other times we were also offering the same. Whenever you want to reach out to us, we will share the links below, or you just can reach to us via PM. That's no problem. And for the first 5% who reach out to us, we will both offer a free discovery call, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, depending on how the discussion goes. And we would be more than happy to help you with whatever decisions, silly decisions you're up to. We will have to make it.
All right, good. Yeah, it's time to finish the year strong.
Yeah.
Whatever happened in the past, it's gone.
Yeah.
Put it aside, cast it aside, and just learn the lesson. And now we have about a month or more than a month, and finish the year strongly.
Yeah.
Finish the year with good results. Yeah. So reach out to us with whatever question you have for this program or the previous programs. We are here to help you. Make a firm
don't
decision.
Hesitate.
Yeah, exactly. Make a firm decision to change your life, the course of your life, and